This is, we called it huge week of NFL free agency. Lots going on, lots still happening, all before the draft. Lots of teams making big moves. Ken and I are here to break it all down. We nailed on our previous episode talking about quarterbacks and saying Tua's going, what's going to happen with Kyler? He might as well be gone. And in last week, they were both cut and both moved on to already picked up by other teams. So actually, let's start there then with the two big quarterback moves. Number one, Kyler Murray going to the Vikings, and then Tua going over to the Falcons. What do you think of those?
Hi, Phil. So nice to see you again. I'm excited to
Who
be
cares
back.
about greetings? 45 seconds in, we just come out swinging.
All right. So what do you think about Tua?
Me, hands down, I think it's a fantastic move. Everyone's going to laugh at that, but how often will you get a worst case, like viable backup at a league minimum salary? And that's what the Falcons got because of the way the contracts worked out for the Dolphins. He got cut, and now the Falcons get a free shot at putting Tua in their lineup. And this is not a big deal, but I think it's notable enough that now they have two lefties, so their offense doesn't have to flip whenever they change. I don't think it's a major deal, but I think it's important enough from like a structure and game calling, or even like, if Penix goes out or Tua goes out halfway through the first half, the third and fourth quarter, you're not like, okay, do we have to run these routes on the right side of the field instead of the left? Do we have to flip our bootlegs? So something small that I think it's just a feather in the cap to the Falcons, gives them a little bit more wiggle room in, how they approach the season.
I will say our brother Steve, who I never mention about this ever, but he's the one. He's huge on that. He played quarterback in high school, but he was saying, he's like, yeah, switching to a lefty is actually humongous, especially for the offensive line. Now, when I say played in these parentheses, it's because he got destroyed. He played behind not an offensive line, and he got hit by real defensive linemen.
I was going to say he was like the Browns last year. He was there just getting laid out over and over and over again on the worst offense in the league.
He got high load once before it was a penalty. And I remember people say like, ooh, that shouldn't be allowed. He got a concussion that game. He didn't
I
make
would say
it.
the only good thing about that hit is he doesn't remember it.
He didn't remember driving home. Anyways, but he was saying, it's changing from that lefty to righty, especially like mid-game, is a huge, huge difference. But, it's cool. Eventually, pretty soon, before the end of the year, or before the end of the offseason, they'll have three lefties when they trade for Dylan Gabriel, Kevin Stefanski's favorite third-round pick. But, I mean, Tua's not that far removed from, leading a very functional offense. I know we give a lot of that credit to Mike McDaniel. But, I mean, yeah, they had decent weapons there. We've talked about it. Atlanta's offense does look good, and it certainly does have weapons. They are going to miss Tyler Algier, but not really that much. I am concerned overall for the Falcons from a general aspect of Stefanski might be going back to this thing where he has this offense and he has this all set up, and he just doesn't like any of the quarterbacks. Because is Kirk Cousins still technically there? I don't know if they officially cut him yet.
I'm not sure on how the paperwork worked, but he is definitely not going to be on the team. Depending, it's that pre and post June 1 posting, how you amortize the contracts.
Yeah, I'm not as high on giving up on Michael Penix just yet. Yes, it's his third ACL. That stinks. He's also a quarterback who's not the most mobile. I think that. And I just liked him. Yeah, he was older in college, but guess what? He's still young for a quarterback in the NFL, youngish. I like the contract's great. It's the whole prove it year. I hate that that's how these contracts are set up, where if you can't pay him anymore because it just comes more out of your pocket and less out of the team that cuts him. And I don't know. That's all that's language, but I love these 1 year prove it deals. It's it gives you. These guys, they needed a new look. They needed a new team, new atmosphere. They get the chance to, and honestly, they don't even have to do that good. Russ kind of blew his prove it year, and he still got paid, some. So, but it's a good opportunity for him. So, I do like that. I do like where Tua's at. I just think that that could turn into a QB carousel pretty quickly. When you have somebody out, behind you who is picked highly and still has that potential, doesn't make for like it could make for a quick QB controversy. But I just think it would be hilarious if Stefanski goes right back to that after leaving Cleveland.
I don't know. I think Penix has the obviously the bigger arm and can make every throw, whereas Tua is the in rhythm quarterback. I've always said like Stefanski's system is very similar to Kevin O'Connell. You need to be able to throw the ball 15 yards downfield. We'll see if Tua could do that but for sure it's going to be in rhythm. So I think it'll be funny to see if like Penix is the guy who can make all the throws, but just does it out of sync and then you have Tua, who is the guy who can't throw the ball past 20 yards, but he plays to the beat of Stefanski's drum. So I'd be curious to see which way he goes then, because Tua's going to be more accurate and play better that way.
I think that Tua actually goes pretty well with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. He's just huge, big bodied, go up, get these 50 balls type receivers. And oh, by the way, Bijan looks pretty darn good out there.
All right, we're gonna do some fantasy talk later. I'm very curious your thoughts on Drake London specifically. Look, he had the Cooper Cup.
Love Drake London.
He had the Cooper Cup role with Zach Robinson, the former Rams OC, when Cooper Cup had his monster year. So I'm curious how you feel about Drake London after he was coming off of a monster year and then kind of borderline getting shut down for a little bit of the end. So let's go on then. Next up, the Vikings. Similar situation, only not really, because they went from what arguably bottom 5 quarterback play for the year to then moved on over to bringing in another guy that first round pick. They've been recycling them, right? They had Darnold, they had Dan Jones on their roster.
Mhm.
Maybe this is the one that sticks, the recycled guy that they keep on. So what do you think of Kyler Murray? Do you think he has a realistic shot to overtake JJ McCarthy and be the Vikings future quarterback?
I think everyone has a realistic shot to overtake JJ McCarthy. I don't think that's the question. I think the thing we have to look at a little bit broader is that these quarterbacks that have shown potential, who have shown, I mean, just the ability to facilitate a decent offense in complete crap systems and complete crap teams, going to a better one have had success. And I think that's exactly what's going. I mean, the difference between Tua is going from Mike McDaniel's system with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that looked pretty good and very functional at times. And I think that Kyler, I mean, what the heck were they have they been doing? I mean, really since DeAndre Hopkins was in Arizona, they have not had a functional offense. They've been really just on the shoulders of James Conner, which actually looked pretty decent sometimes. And they had some weapons here and there where Trey McBride has flashed, and oddly enough, Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't flashed, and then Michael Wilson flashes. But no, I think if you get Kyler and you see him for what he is like, hey, you have talent. What you need is coaching and direction, and I just don't think it was ever there in Kansas City. The closest he had, who was the guy when they went like 7-1 to start a year, which was who's the head coach?
Was it Kingsbury? It was Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury. That's when he looked the best, was when he had some type of an offensive mind and like fizzled out. But I am just a believer in KOC. I think that number one, the Vikings are not believers in JJ McCarthy. Clearly, you don't go out and get somebody on a 1-year prove it deal if you believe in JJ McCarthy. And this isn't he was hurt or coming off of an injury. It's no, we don't believe in JJ McCarthy. Oh, and it's going to be bad for his confidence. Yeah, well, so is sucking. So,
Don't worry, 9 will be 5.
but we've talked about it a lot. Like they just restructured Aaron Jones, so he's coming back. I'm a big Aaron Jones fan. They're TJ Hawkinson restructured. They have so many weapons. They have a decent line. They have a great defense. I mean, there's a lot there. I completely see why Kyler Murray went there. And this goes back to another thing. I don't know. I don't know if it's conspiracy theory or not, but more so, I strongly believe that the head coaches don't necessarily always have the say of who's the starting quarterback. And they go, GMs or owners go, we've invested in this person. He needs to be out there. But I think that sometimes, like Russ, who was hurt, and Justin Fields was doing good for the Steelers back, and he had his sort of prove it deal with them. I think there's like a guarantee where it's like, hey, when I'm there, I'm playing, I'm the starter. And I think that Kyler does not go there if that's not in place. You don't do a 1 year prove it deal to be a backup. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'm just curious about the fit, right? Kyler's thing was never playing in a system well, right? He was not like a rhythm quarterback. He was one of those guys, I'm going to snap it, make a, you know, athletic play with my feet, and then, bust out a 20-yard run, make a solid throw down the field. And I'm just curious how that translates over to, someone who is very schematic, likes the under center drop back throws. I just don't like the fit. I wish, honestly, if Tua had gone to Minnesota, I'd be more curious. But again, KOC is famous for throwing the ball 10 plus yards down the field every play. And, Tua, like, his arm would fall off pretty quickly.
Yeah. There's a size thing where it's like, oh, he's small and can't see over lines and different things like that. And then, yeah, sorry, having Dylan Gabriel as a Browns fan, I do believe in that a little bit more now.
I mean, Brock Purdy says he can't see over lines.
But Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are arguably the best duo of outside receivers. So I mean, I think that does decently. But in terms, I think a lot more of it is KOC will get a talented guy to run his offense, not, hey, like, just figure it out. It's like, we're not just putting Justin Fields back there to run around. I don't think that's the scenario. I think that you can do that, but I think that that's all, like, a coach would rather have a guy who, just has the ability than, I don't know, someone like you said, like a Tua that's, hey, I'm just limited and can't necessarily make all the throws. I think Kyler can make throws. I mean, he has to be more cerebral with the game, but I think that KOC is going to help him with that a lot. And I think that's what Kyler has needed. And I mean, there's no better place to go that has an available position than Minnesota. We've talked about it so much.
All right, so Justin Jefferson, another guy on our obvious fantasy watch, so that we'll talk about later. All right, so now, Ken, you get your moment. The thing I don't care about at all. Max Crosby got traded and then untraded. And why don't I care about it? I thought it was interesting until everyone in the universe had a thought and opinion on it. And quite frankly, I'm kind of just tired of the subject. It's like the Ravens called touching black touching black trade backs, and that's what happened. They're in sixth grade. We had MLB showdown cards. Happened to us all the time. So that's just my take. And they thought maybe they didn't think they were going to trade Hendrickson, and they got him, and they're like, all right, we don't need this guy anymore. 2 first-rounders is better. So why are you so interested in this still?
One, I do think that Trey Hendrickson plus 2 first-rounders is a better value than Max Crosby, and that is the biggest math that's been done in this whole thing. But yeah, shady stuff happens, I guess. Two quick thoughts on it. One, just from a traditional timeline, okay, he had a meniscus injury or surgery about it was 6 or 8 weeks ago, and he's like 6 to 8 weeks into a recovery that's supposed to last 3 to 4 months, and they're like, oh, he's on crutches. Yeah, no, of course he's on crutches. Now, there's different types of meniscus. Everyone who's like, oh, it's just a meniscus. There are so many different types. Now, this is clearly not just like the shave one. Who was like Joel Embiid gets a meniscus shave pretty much every year for the playoffs. He's out for like 6 weeks and he comes back. It's a minimally invasive thing. It's actually not even in the knee joint. This one clearly is. The meniscus actually touches the ACL as well. It's very close on like one aspect of it. So depending on where it's at, but saying that there's like stress injuries or stress fractures as well, it could have been more severe. The problem is the Ravens knew all of this. There's nothing new that's going on. I love how his surgeon actually goes out and just from the medical side, one of the most renowned orthopedic knee surgeons is like, hey guys, actually shut up. He's exactly where he should be, and you know it. And I love that part. But just
That's
the other
bad.
thing.
That's something I didn't know. That's good, interesting information. Like, you get people saying whatever they want, and the Ravens put up some face and then people commenting on the Ravens comments. Hearing that the doctor is like, yeah, guys, he's fine. I did my job well.
He's Yeah, and also I've never in my life heard a surgeon say I didn't do my job well. Um,
they
I
they don't shit. They typically don't show up to funerals and be like, guys, this one's on me.
the sponge was supposed to be in there. No, no, I'm kidding.
Only
Uh,
happened to me twice.
Sponge counts are so very real, and you better have the right number. Uh, but the other interesting part is the exact same knee at the end of 2023 had it was a septic arthritis, a septic joint, and if you don't know, that is very much like a limb-threatening, uh, infection, could be life-threatening. These very commonly go into the blood. It takes 4 weeks of typically IV, or like they put a PICC line, like antibiotics to treat these, and he had like, it was like 24 hours or 48 hours of antibiotics and a surgery on like a Wednesday, and to this is not a common thing that happens with football players. Anyone else, I'd be like, they're probably done for the year. I mean, you think of like staph infections that have gone like wrong, and you've seen that. Like, I mean, there have been Browns players that like were gone for over a year and a half, but nasty staph infections and things like that. And I'm like, "Oh, you're done for the year for that." No, this was in 2023. He played 17 games. He did not miss a game after having like a debridement and antibiotics like on a Wednesday and a Thursday. He played Sunday. Dude is tough as nails. Like that. Don't say this knee is holding him back. I know it's a big investment in this guy, but I'm a huge Max Crosby fan. I think he's great. I think would have been awesome for the Ravens. But I mean, like I said, Trey Hendrickson, and your 2 first rounds, pretty good too.
All right. Yeah. It's funny to hear just a little bit more on the doctor side of that. But again, I just hate the drama around it. Like, it's just a popular news story. That's its problem. Anyways, so other teams, did you want to go players or teams that you think have had good off seasons? Or we can just go with whatever we feel like is good. Go back and forth.
Let's just go back and forth.
All right. So, number one, in no particular order in terms of best or worst or anything, I liked what the Bills have done. Essentially, they lost. I think Joey Bosa's available. So they replaced him with Bradley Chubb, and they went through and got DJ Moore, uh, maintaining their pass rush and grabbing DJ Moore. I know we talked about it last week, but I think it's just the best thing they could have done. That's the only thing that they needed is an outside threat, and then they maintained who they are, their ethos. I'm curious. Joe Brady's the only thing. Can he be a successful head coach? I have no idea. It is a note that Brady coached DJ Moore in Carolina, so kind of a reunion and understanding of the skill sets. Uh, I just, it's going to be hard for me to come to August and when we're talking about futures picks, not talk about them as a Super Bowl favorite or contender again. So if they didn't have DJ Moore, I think I would just been like down on them, saying every year in the playoffs that we see this over and over again. They rely on Brandon Cooks, who had 2 big mistakes last year. So they answered the question that the biggest problem they faced. So I don't know if you agree with that in terms of coming out of this, what team maybe made it most likely that they will win a Super Bowl.
I'll make it most likely. Oh, I would say my favorite team's definitely not winning the Super Bowl.
No, no,
Um,
no.
but no. I mean, I definitely like what the Bills did. I like DJ Moore. I certainly don't like him as much as you do because I don't think anybody does. But
Top 3 in separation, man.
but I mean, I think they also re-signed like Dawson Knox, who's like one of my like low key like favorite players as well.
Dude, number 2 tight end, that the blocking tight end on your team he's like the perfect guy for that.
He's the blocking tight end who like is an above average receiver for tight end. That's how I see it. But
Yeah.
anyways, no, I mean they're doing what they need to. I mean, I just like it. Josh Allen restructuring the whole restructuring, rolling captain, blah blah blah. But it's like cool. You pay a quarterback a lot of money, and then you just get an extra 30 million towards the cap every year, and then you get screwed one of the years. That's just how it is.
Yep.
But no, I definitely like what they've done. I was gonna say my favorite team so far. It's going right off with the coaching thing, but it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Man, yes, you have to overpay to get people when your team sucks. And they overpaid Tyler Lindenbaum, but they got I mean, in his prime, I think he's probably the best interior lineman available. I'm probably the best lineman available in free agency. And you got, an anchor to go with, all the other weapons that you have. I'm sure they're going to continue to build the offense around that. Mendoza, they're really going to miss those picks from the Ravens though for Max Crosby. I am so curious to see what they get for him now because number one, I mean, you can't possibly get two firsts again. I just don't think so. And you have to get rid of Max Crosby at this point. I mean, you traded him and he was gone from your team for a couple days. Like I get, it's a business and they're all professionals, but also that guy is ready to leave now. I mean, you have to. And I kind of like the whole idea of setting up the offense and then kind of figuring out from there. With that being said, I like the three defensive pickups too. So N'Kobe Dean, Quay Walker, and Taron Johnson from the Bills. I mean, they're getting pieces, parts that I like. I think that those are some decent names to go with their rebuild.
Yeah, I was going to say I like that they got, everyone hates linebackers, right? That is the analytics thing to do. You hate middle linebackers. I think Quay Walker and Kobe Dean, they're on reasonable deals, and the Raiders defense was so lifeless that I still think middle linebacker or inside linebacker is the guy who ignites a defense, right? Cornerbacks, they're on islands. They're supposed to be the premium positions, but it's like those guys can obviously get lost in their own world. Edge rushers, they're just running at the quarterback nonstop. It's really the middle linebackers that bring the spirit and like the hey guys, get your ass to the ball and start making tackles because we need to. So I like the fact that that's the Raiders' approach where they liven up their team. And then to your point, Tyler Lindenbaum, it's not that they don't have talent on the offensive line, but now they got a good what's it called?
Just core anchor. I don't know.
Core anchor, but the guy, the offensive line who calls the blocking schemes. Blocking schemes, what I couldn't think of. But adjust the pass protection pre-snap, especially going to be very helpful when you have a rookie quarterback who doesn't know what he's doing back there. So yeah, Raiders were on my list for people I really like. This one, I don't know if you're going to agree with. I think the Steelers had a fantastic period. So they got Michael Pittman to play opposite of DK Metcalf, which is huge. Like they needed another able-bodied receiver, just possession guy. Rico Dowdle. Do you buy what he did for the Panthers? I don't know, but he is definitely a good physical runner who fits what they want to do. And then they went through and they picked up some cornerbacks, Jamal Dean and Asante Samuel Jr. to round out their defensive backfield because that was atrocious last year. They had like Jerry Porter, Darius Slay, and Jalen Ramsey, and no one could cover one-on-one except for Porter. And so teams just didn't throw at him. So Slay and Ramsey had seen better days, but very excited for them. Unfortunately, they don't have a quarterback and they have Mike McCarthy. So I'm very curious how that all plays out.
Of course, whatever the Steelers do, it's just going to work out. And that's just how it always is. Yes, Rico Dowdle. I mean, you heard it here all year. We love Rico. But I mean, he's back to his he's going to be in that complement role. And however they do it, where it's like if Warren's on the field more than him or if he's out there more, but he's going to be in Pittsburgh doing the whole ground and pound. He's the better Najee Harris for that team. And, they don't have the best O-line, but, it'll just work out because that's just what happens for the Steelers. I really like Michael Pittman Jr. It's like pairing him up with DK is just, it's so good. I don't know. It's interesting to see.
We laughed at them last year that their best receiving was 4 tight end sets because you have DK Metcalf and then Johnny Smith, Pat Freiermuth, and Darnell Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, Darnell Washington, Michael Pittman Jr., and DK Metcalf. That is a huge receiving core.
Monsters.
I hate that.
It's a basketball team.
I hate that. I agree with you on that one.
All right. So what do you got next?
Just individual moves. I liked for both teams that it wasn't even a trade, but it was Mike Evans going to the 49ers. I really needed the 49ers needed something for that offense because Brandon Ayuk's gone, George Kittle's hurt. They were just missing. They did a lot with a very little on the outside last year. So I certainly like that move for him. I like that, Mike Evans hopefully is going to a place that has an explosive offense so he can keep going. But also it just opens up. I mean, there was pretty much a log jam of good receivers in Tampa Bay. It's a good problem to have. But um with oh my god, Chris Godwin coming back, Emeka Ibuka, and
Jalen
who's
McMillan.
yeah, Jalen McMillan looked excellent. I mean, they did not need to pay an aging Mike Evans, so I kind of like that move for sort of for both teams there.
Yeah, Mike Evans is fantastic. I did send it in the chat immediately. Like, I don't know if he fits the typical bill for a San Fran wide receiver. However, that's great news, right? We like they went from Debo Samuel to Brandon Ayuk to Ricky Pearsall, where it's like all these guys kind of operate same area of the field, same physical play style. Debo is obviously more physical, and Ayuk and Pearsall are more route runners. Even same with Juwan Jennings, but now they actually get a vertical threat. So Kyle Shanahan just going to go do some Kyle Shanahan genius things. I wish George Kittle would be okay so we could see this offense completely up and functioning. But Mike Evans said he's like, I actually believe that I'm what's missing from this team, and if they can sync it up, I think he's right.
I'm never doubting Mike Evans ever again because every time I was like, oh, he can't do it with, or he was getting old at one point, or he can't do it with Teddy Bridgewater. He can't do it with Baker. And it's like, nah, that dude's just good. Yeah.
All right. So my next one, going to Cleveland Browns. We laugh about this in our group chat. So just they went out. They got 3 offensive linemen this year: Titus Howard, Zion Johnson, Elton Jenkins. Titus Howard and Zion Johnson were the first 2 moves, and they went to the worst 2 or 2 of the 3 worst offensive lines in the football and said, "Give me your players." Neither have ranked high according to PFF in run or pass blocking grades. I've seen some people say they watch the tape and they don't know what that doesn't know what it's talking about. But we just signed them to big deals. The only positive, in my opinion, for Zion Johnson was that he doesn't miss snaps. So that's fantastic. He'll be one of the guys that isn't hurt and out. But it's just kind of disappointing to me that the Browns, they see the need, they see the problem, and they're throwing money at it. But they're not even walking away with, in my opinion, average NFL starters. So guys that are maybe top 20 at their respective position. If you want to go instead of by side, like all guards, all tackers in top 40, you're probably getting guys that are like 50 out of 64 starters at what they do. So just kind of disappointed. I could be very wrong on this, but I think it's going to be tough sledding to have a good offensive line again. However, it's going to be hard to be as bad as it was last year.
So, Phil, they got good players in bad positions with bad teams, and weren't able to gel with these offensive linemen. They got these guys who are talented for cheap, and they also decided to not pay them cheaply because they're talented, of course. And I agree that you need an offensive line. You need to set up an offensive line before you get anything else. You got to give Shador a chance back there, and you can't do it without an offensive line. I like the philosophy behind it.
Dude.
What I don't like is overpaying untalented players.
Well, you got a couple more years of Deshaun.
I'm staying
Um,
positive.
um, all right. So,
The other one
so
that I
you're up.
did like, the Tennessee Titans, they did some stuff with the
I
defense
had
and
them down.
okay. But and this one's kind of just getting, I mean, setting up for your quarterback there, but I mean, getting Wandale Robinson, who is really a compliment to Calvin Ridley, but you have those 2, and then you got some young talent in who's it, that DK and that Eric Ironman, or I can't say either of
Hmm.
those 2 guys' names, but you put those 4 out there and say, hey, that's actually like, I mean, a commendable receiving core compared to what they had last time. Yeah, they're still missing like a top guy, but I mean, Calvin Ridley still looks good when he's not injured. So I actually liked what they've done, and they're setting up to give their number 1 draft pick last year a shot.
So yeah, I've seen Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate, right? Options to the Titans with their first overall pick. Absolutely throw some lighter fluid onto that offense. But I agree with you. This is a team that just needed players in general. Like we laughed at how bad the roster was, and they went and they got, like, if you look at them, the defenders played for Robert Saleh previously. The offensive players played for Brian Dable
Dable.
previously. So they went through and essentially they have a seam and a system or schemes and system, and they want their guys so that they can just get back to functioning, right? They're not trying to succeed, right? They're not trying to be a brand, the hot playoff team going to go for a Super Bowl. But they're like, guys, we gotta make it so that our jobs aren't on the line next year. Like 7 wins, like that's all we got to do, and we got to start filling out some talent here. So, like people are critiquing, it's like, oh, we failed as coaches, and so now we're getting our players who we failed with, and I'm like, well, I get that philosophy, but I also am like, the players, they know your scheme, and I don't think a lot of Salah and Dable's failures were due to them. So we'll leave it at that. We'll see how it goes. I could be wrong on this, but I like them as coaches, and I like them going and getting people that can fit in and, help maybe have some good leadership and bring up the players around them. So that's why I had them down as like successful offseason.
I think that's just a huge like general philosophy that you just need to hit is like these like coaches have good ideas, they have their philosophies, but if they can't get them on the field and you're just you're always behind the eight ball and you're just crawling at anything just to survive. It's like it is so difficult to prove that, hey, number one, I'm worth it, but like two, like I have a winning idea. I have a winning system. It's like get the system in there, have people buy into that. I hate to say there probably will be enough. There'll be more high draft picks, in their future. So they'll have those shots. So I like it. And this is the first time that Tennessee's had some optimism since Vrabel left.
So now my next one was, what are the Colts doing, man? Like, I like Alec Pierce. I
Oh,
don't I don't like 114 million over 4 years for him. Daniel Jones, he was a fun story, but you put a lot of money on his Achilles coming back strong. And I know it's probably 1 year guaranteed, but you also don't have a first round pick this year or next year. I would have wanted to bought more. I would have wanted to buy more insurance on this thing, and it doesn't look like they are. So I don't know that like they have not made many moves, but what they have is, hey, last year Jones got hurt and our team fell apart. Let's re-up this. Let's see if we can make it happen again. I just think that's not the correct approach at all.
I got a question for you here. So I'm a little biased, but their top four receivers last year, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Tyler Warren. Also, Jonathan Taylor's out there. Good
Mhm.
player, Joe. Rank those four, the
In
receivers.
terms of what?
Best ones.
Dude,
Talent.
so Pierce is the worst.
That's what I was getting at. I want to.
Like it is. Warren is by far number one, like
You think
miles
so?
ahead. Yeah, I think
I'm giving
he's.
him a downgrade just because he's a tight end. Like you can just do so much as
I
a
got.
tight end.
Dude, he's a rookie. Rookies typically take forever to get into the league unless you're Brock Bowers. Like Travis Kelce-esque career. It sounds ridiculous, but one of those guys that can have 1,200 yards, in my opinion. He was a monster to start
But
the year.
why?
I know he fell off.
Okay, why is that though? Why do tight ends take forever to fit into the league?
Uh,
It's because
History.
you have because previously as a tight end you'd have to know like receiving like
Mhm.
things and blocking, and that takes forever. And you have to be good at both, and that's just not the case anymore. Sorry. So that's
So
why tight ends are popping up a little bit quicker.
yeah, 100% agree. It's hard, and only the best of the best can do it. And he looks
So,
fit.
thank you. I'm glad to know you listen.
Not talking past each other at all.
But
I'm not going to refute your point because you're probably right, but it's just, it doesn't support my argument. So I'm going to ignore that you said it.
that's fine. But no, either way, I mean, we can agree that he's very, very good. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Alec Pierce does have the wonderful skill set that he runs fast downfield. Like And being a field stretcher is much more valuable than being, a high end tight end. Like
Hmm.
Tyler Warren will not be sniffing 25 million, or if he was up for a contract, would not be sniffing 25 million today. So it's just like, can you dictate the safety? And that's what Alec Pierce does. I still don't think, like you saw what Mike Evans got. Mike Evans didn't get that much money, and that's his valuable skill set too. So I just disagree with how much they gave to him, even if it's what was required. I feel like you could get someone else that does that job.
I'm just biased because I like Michael Pittman Jr. I just think he's it's a more valuable skill set as a receiver that like possession, but he also, I mean, he just does a bit of everything. I just think he's more talented. And you traded him away and you overpaid the guy who's not as good as him. I just don't like it.
Yeah, whole concept of what the Colts. So I have liked a lot of the Colts recently. I actually thought the going in on Sauce Gardner was the right move. Like, unfortunately, Danny Jones popped his leg, but it's like you don't know when lightning's going to strike your team, and it seems like they got struck by lightning, and now they're like, wait a second, let's do that again next year because it's definitely going to happen. That's it's a big risk profile to carry.
How do you feel about Daniel Jones just being the best quarterback at making money per
Uh,
talent?
Kirk Cousins, no one.
Daniel Jones is the future Kirk Cousins. He's already got the Achilles injury down early.
It's oh my gosh, Kirk Cousins. I can't remember where someone was rumoring him to go somewhere, but they're like, dude, don't let him teach your quarterback. Like, don't let him groom your quarterback because they're gonna rob you blind.
I'm saying Daniel Jones is the next Kirk Cousins, man. He just
I
knows
could
how to
see
do
it.
it.
All right. So, do you have anyone else? I have a couple more.
Teams
Just to actually,
or
the only
people, fantasy things.
I'm at fantasy themes now.
Okay.
Actually, I've crossed off all my teams.
So I wanted to run this by you here because we always overhype free agency because there's nothing else going on in the NFL right
Hmm.
now. So I will tell you that from the past, we're talking like early 20s, like the Cleveland Browns won the free agency all the time because we had all this money and then we decided to forget about that. But it is certainly overhyped. And, you see a lot of very good teams that don't do much during free agency. But look at this from we talked about some winners now in 2025 the winners
Hmm.
of it all were the Bears. If you remember, they essentially set up their offense around Caleb
Hmm.
Williams. The Patriots, who revamped their defense, um, and did they trade for Diggs or what? They got Diggs around this time as well. And then the Vikings and the Commanders. Um, I don't, I can't remember who the Vikings even got, but that's the name that came up. Um,
The defense, their defense got completely redone. It was 2 years ago, Brian Flores. Like, if he didn't get the blitz right, they didn't get any. Like, their defense got crushed. And then last year, you saw the new players and the difference it made.
okay. And then the Commanders, where they were setting up this awesome offense and defense around Jaden Daniels. So obviously, the Bears and the Patriots, I mean, superseded expectations by quite a bit. And then the uh, Vikings, yeah, they were still, were they 9-8? Maybe they were
They
eight
were
and
8-9.
nine.
They won their last 5 games. All right. That's
Yeah, hell
the
yeah.
funniest thing ever is like quarterbacks on a multiple game win streak to end the year. And it's number one, you're required to not make the playoffs or win the Super Bowl to be on this list. So Sam Darnold's on the list and no other playoff quarterbacks because they all lost their last game. Otherwise, they would have won the Super Bowl. And then it was like looking at who did it this year. It was the Vikings and JJ McCarthy winning 5 straight. And then it wasn't Tyler Shuck. It was Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was on a 4 game win streak. It was like,
Oh.
so these hot things at the end of the year, always funny to laugh at.
Yeah, when you're not going to the playoffs, I don't care how you do at the end of the year. If anything, I think you're
Yeah.
done for winning these games. But uh, does it go back another year to 2024? That the teams that won free agency, ironically, was the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. the Texans and they paid Daniil Hunter a whole bunch, and I
Mhm.
think they just did that once again, right?
Yeah, they gave him a 1-year, $40 million
Oh,
contract,
I love it.
aka they gave him all CJ Stroud's money before the CJ Stroud's contract comes up.
The Packers, I can't remember what they did, but they also got like Josh Jacobs for a relatively like cheap
Mhm.
deal, and I think they redid some defensive players. And then it was the Steelers because they didn't have to pay Russ. Yeah. Which, I mean, getting a starting quarterback that you don't have to pay is always a plus on the books, except for when it's the Steelers and it's Russ.
That fact sounds a lot to me like the Browns won the draft last year and had won a historically great draft because they got the number 2 prospect in the 5th round. They got Shador Sanders in the 5th round. And so that made
Oh,
their draft. When you did draft evaluations, they had a historically great draft because of how much value they got. Like, it's impossible to beat that.
I'm over here like we got the defensive rookie of the year in the second round, and we deserve it for that because that's true, by the way.
Well, we got
Uh,
a Pro Bowl quarterback in the 5th round.
we got a Pro Bowl. Stop. It's disgusting. You're
We also
gross.
traded a Pro Bowl quarterback. Think about that. Same year.
Stop.
All right. Can we do
God.
fantasy players?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Unless did you have
Oh,
a
the
point to
Falcons. I'm
have?
sorry. Besides that, oh yeah. So Texans, Eagles, Packers, Steelers, all playoff teams like last 2 years and have actually done like pretty well.
Mhm.
Um, the Falcons kind of blew, but like, yeah, actually, you have done pretty well prior to this. Like free agency, if you're spending money, it was just not actually going well for you. So,
Mhm.
it actually does make a big deal. Oh yeah, and the Eagles had probably the best free agency of all time, and they went to the Super Bowl or the next year.
Why did they have the best free
Or
agency of all time?
I remember they got who's it that Huff was it that like a they got a defensive
Oh
end.
yeah, Michael Huff.
Yeah, they got that, and
Oh,
they got
Darius Slay,
Saquon.
James
Seriously,
Bradbury, Saquon. Okay, yeah, I remember
yeah,
that now.
yeah,
Yeah, and that
but
that made a
totally
big
worked for them.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think the easiest way to do this is by position. I'll just give you some players and we can rank where they're at based on moves.
Okay.
Um, so QBs. I'm not going to say Tua's going to start. So we'll
Really? Why
like.
not?
Do you think Michael Penix will be ready to start the year or no?
Not when you have to.
Okay. So let's do this. Vikings quarterback, Falcons quarterback, and Malik Willis. Who has the best
Don't
fantasy
do that.
year?
No, no, no. You got to say some names. You got to say some
All right.
names.
Well, Michael Penix, Kyler Murray,
You're saying Michael
and
Penix, though. They
oh
don't
my
take
gosh, I'm so
one
sorry.
year
You
things.
said Tua, and I meant to say that. All bad.
Okay.
So Tua, Kyler Murray, and Malik Willis. Those are the 3 new guys in
Oof.
situations. In terms of fantasy wise, like I think the Malik Willis thing is not real. I don't think he's going to be valuable in terms of like a successful quarterback in the NFL. I think he's going to have such a nice fantasy year.
Okay.
I think he is going to be like one of those top 12 fantasy quarterbacks that gets cut the next year. So I go, it's got to be straight in that order. Like Tua's got to be the worst. He doesn't run. Kyler is going to be a middle of the road. I don't see the high upside. It's so hard because he's on the best
There
team.
is that, and
There's so much upside. All
that's
right,
exactly where
I
I'm at.
lied. I retract what I said. Kyler, top 8 quarterback.
So first off,
Changed my mind
by the way,
instantly.
Kyler Murray, we're talking about from 2019 to 2024 was always a QB1 in fantasy.
Yeah,
That's the
then
bar
like
that you're setting for him.
top 6 round draft pick too. Um,
Always. Yeah.
yeah. So no, that guy's got to be top 8 with the mobility, the offensive line, the playmaking. Like Malik Willis, I think it's hard for him to be past QB number 15. And Tua can have a solid year, but I don't see him doing more than like 3,500 yards and 20 touchdowns.
You know, sorry, one more thing for Tua. That was 2 years ago where he had the most passing yards in the NFL, and
Yeah.
everyone's just like, eh.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Stinks
it's
for
like
fantasy. Yeah.
Tyreek. I mean, I just think Tyreek Hill produces the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and once he leaves, they go tumbling down.
Every
Patrick
single one of
Mahomes,
them.
is he any good?
2 for 2, you're right. So Justin
The Q-
Fields If he,
QB should be the easiest one. This should be the easiest one, FYI, for
yeah,
ranking positions.
but I'm just saying, like fantasy wise, like Justin Fields, if he plays the whole year, is like a
Mhm.
QB, top five QB, and I think Malik Willis can absolutely do that. I think he'll have to run a lot. I think you're going to get a lot of crap fantasy value. I think Kyler Murray is just a better combination, like good team and will give you good. Like, I mean, I think like back end QB1 for Kyler Murray, and I actually think like 5 to 10 for Malik Willis. So high expectations for them both, but I think I definitely am buying into the fact that Malik Willis will be a good fantasy football player.
All right, let's look at running backs because this one, I
This
think
one's
this
tough.
one's really interesting. So I'd say we have four key moves. Rico Dowdle to the Steelers.
I don't think that's okay.
I think that just depends on what your view of their offenses in general, because they can, like Jalen Warren and Ken Gainwell were both valuable fantasy assets last year. Um, so Dowdle, David Montgomery to the Texans. That team starving for real like David Montgomery type player. Woody Marks had potential, but he is not that he's not that guy. Ken Walker to the Chiefs, and then we have ETN going to the Saints. I love Ken Walker going to the Chiefs in general.
How do you
I
not
think I think it's so bad fantasy wise.
know?
I don't think he will be better than now on a points total, maybe, but like on a per points per game basis, I don't think he will be better than he was in Seattle like 2 years ago when
2 years ago.
he was a top 8 running back. I had him on fantasy. That's why I know.
I was gonna say I mean, that's a pretty high ceiling you're giving him. I mean, when he
So
played, he was good. He's always an injury issue.
it was injury, and then last year sharing time. Right? They gave him 15 million. He's outright the guy. The Chiefs, like, I don't think they will ever have a successful offense that is heavily reliant on Ken Walker because they don't want to, and they shouldn't. Like, if they want to be successful, it should be Patrick Mahomes, and they should be being vertical. And I don't see them turning to Ken Walker in the red zone and giving him enough touchdowns to make up for the cutback in volume. I could be dead wrong. He could be 20 plus carries a game and like 10 touchdowns. I don't anticipate that.
Mm. Do you know how many 20+ yard rushes the Chiefs had last year by
I think
running
Patrick
backs?
Mahomes had 5.
Yeah, okay. I think Patrick Mahomes had
Patrick Mahomes was
some.
like the only one with it. That's all I remember.
I think 0. The answer was 0
Oh, really?
from running backs. I think Patrick
Hmm.
Mahomes might have had some. I don't know. Um, but I think that talented running backs just accidentally get 20-yard carries sometimes. Like,
Yep.
you have to be able to make for yourself. And Kenneth Walker has absolutely been able to do that. He's never had an offensive line in Seattle. Remember all last year, that's what we talked, or this last offseason, that's all we
Hmm.
talked about in Seattle's. You got a quarterback that sees ghosts and doesn't do good against a pass rush, and a team without an offensive line. Kenneth Walker had some amazing -2 yard runs. I mean, phenomenal. And if he can get in an offense that is at least like spread out and gives him some like running lanes, he could be very dangerous. So I mean, no, I actually think that I mean, the Chargers, I mean, they have some like burners and can spread out the field. Maybe they brought Kelsey back. I think that they do need one more receiver. I think that they make some type of move to get one. Just me, just a thought. But I love Kenneth Walker there. I think that he is not going to get the goal line stuff that you're saying. They just never do. Like like to flip Kelsey a -2 yard pass for touchdowns,
Hmm.
and Mahomes runs stuff in, and I could see that, Brashard Smith still being like, "Hey, you're gonna get all this passing work that,
That was going to
I."
be my next point. Is I think right they had the choice between ETN and Walker, and if they got ETN, I thought the upside would be there for pass catching. But since they chose Ken Walker, I feel like it's not there as much.
Yeah. So, I think that he's gonna be like a back end RB1 is what I would like.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that one because I do think that
so you
he will bring back explosive plays that they haven't had since Kareem Hunt went there earlier.
as a rookie.
Yeah.
So all right, moving on to ETN. I'm assuming this means Alvin Kamara is gone
Yes.
and Kendra Miller. I know I love all the head coaching quotes of he can play if he practices because he doesn't practice, so he won't play. But he did show like some solid bursts. I thought he looked like pretty good as an alternate to Kamara last year.
So I'm more worried about Tyler Shuck having just a sophomore slump year there and just like not having that could have been general offense around him. But no, I mean he's gonna get all the workload. He is not prime Alvin Kamara. He can definitely do what Alvin Kamara did last year. He's going to catch a lot of passes because I think he has to. But I mean, I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I don't know. I'd wait and see. I think they're going to add somebody else. I just don't think you can rely on Kendry Miller. I just don't think, like, when you have a backup, you need something that's somewhat reliable. And Phil's gone.
Yeah, so I heard you say you don't trust Kendra Miller, which is absolutely fine. But
Yeah.
anyways,
I'll be interested to see. I think they're going to get another running back. Etienne's always had another person there. And I don't think he's getting like 30 carries a game like Kamara.
I
He's
mean,
not
he
going to
got,
be
he
used like
got
Kamara
20
was.
plus carries with the Jags. So I don't know, man. Anyways, think I think it could be huge. So I'm big on ETN at the moment.
So who do you like him? Do you
I
like
would
him more
take
than Kenneth Walker?
ETN over Ken Walker. Volume
Okay,
over Ken Walker has the higher upside. ETN has the higher floor, in my opinion.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love the Saints. Like I've been hyping them up since the end of the year. So that leaves David Montgomery. I think it's safe to say his range of outcomes isn't the same as it was for Detroit. There's not the upside, but I think you still draft him about the same spot where it's like this RB2 level because we
He was
laughed
always undervalued, and that was awesome. I always picked him up.
like
Yeah.
like RB 18 to 24 is where I see him and touchdown dependent. But we saw the Texans really need someone who can get 1 yard, and he's very good at that.
How much should we talk about the Texans being the worst, like 1 yard team of all time?
How many times did we say that team needs to get like sacked so they're 5 yards out so they can actually score a touchdown? But yeah, no, I love the fit. So that's one plus.
I think David Montgomery was good where he was at. Like he needs a compliment of some type. Like he needs. I don't think you can give him too much. Like he's going to turn into like that 20 carries for 75 yards and maybe a touchdown type of guy. I feel.
So Rico Dowdle or David Montgomery right now, who are you picking? I feel
Who's
like
a better football player?
no,
Who's a better football player, or
who has a
who do
better
I
fantasy
think?
year? Because right now I think it's Rico Dowdle.
Oh, David Montgomery. It's just like once again, I think that they're gonna get another person as
Mhm.
well. They're not done making moves. If we're playing that game, I have like Basal Tootin over all these guys, but that's
There's
just not
no
going to
way.
be the case. Exactly.
Anyways, so I don't know. I think
I think that Jalen Warren's just too good. I think he's actually a very, very good back, and
I
he
think
no
they
matter
don't
what,
want to use him like a very good back.
I think that he will steal enough fantasy points from him. Unfortunately, I think he's better than Rico Dowdle, Jalen Warren. I think that
Okay. All right, Ken. We're gonna go pull some clips of you last year, and then we'll see who you think is better.
hey, we were all there. We were all there.
Everyone. The Rico Dowdle bubble is very similar to the COVID bubble. Everyone was part of it. They knew what was going on.
The Panthers made me believe.
All right. So yeah, I think it's interesting. So would you take Ken Walker ahead of ETN right now?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Just curious. I would not.
Well, the Chiefs can Walker over ETN, so I'm gonna
So like we're
do
talking
what they do.
fantasy right now. Like this whole segment was supposed to be about fantasy, and you're out here talking about reality. All right, let's go on to wide receivers. So tons of new guys. Like Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman. Whatever happens to Brandon Ayuk, obviously can't talk about him for now. Wandale Robinson was a top 15 receiver who made a move this year. And then we mentioned Drake London, Justin Jefferson, lots and lots changing due to their quarterback situation. I actually think Drake London is a downgrade from last year, which is sad to say.
He was really good though when he was playing before he injured his PCL, which is just a rough injury to come back from. He was really good.
I
I
don't,
think
and
he was probably like I think it's top 6, I
yeah,
think.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
because he had back-to-back 3 touchdown games.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. But I just don't see the same utilization coming in the new system. I mean, it's hard to match what was there to begin with.
You don't think that he could be a Amari Cooper in Stefanski's system? Because
Amari Cooper
I think he's definitely
Amari
can.
Cooper wasn't stable though. I also think
Well, he
are they
played on the Browns,
is he gonna but is he
and
gonna
he
play the
was.
slot? I
I
mean, I
mean,
just remember Amari
before
Cooper being like 60 yards, 60 yards, 60 yards, 550 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like out of nowhere. Anyways, but Drake London, he also played a lot of slot, doing like I said, doing the Cooper Cup role. I don't know what Stefanski's just gonna do with him. I don't see I see a lot of like a lot of the Justin Jefferson, but not high end Justin Jefferson games to him. Like 8 catches, 100 yards, no touchdowns, that kind of thing.
you don't believe in Stefanski as much as you tell everybody you believe in Stefanski. That's what I'm hearing.
I think he's going to run out the clock a lot more. I think Bijan is going to be. I think he's going to have a good run scheme, and Bijan's going to be the guy. Early career or early Browns Stefanski, like Nick Chubb was amazing, and I think that's what we're going to see.
I like Drake London. I think that they need someone to pass to. I think he works pretty well with two. I think that it's going to be a lot of like PPR, like chain moving things, but
Mhm.
I think that that's what Drake London does really well. It
I
all
guess that's
depends
the
on
other
the
thing. In
touchdown.
general, I don't like Tua being on a high scoring offense, which is very ironic because he came from.
Yeah,
But
but I
that's
mean,
Tyreek Hill.
yeah, I say him and like Jalen Waddle, like no one's getting 80-yard touchdowns that are
Hmm
40 yards after the catch all the time.
hmm
So I get that. Downgrade from last year, sure, but I mean I think that bar is just high if you count what he was playing.
Yeah. I don't like his ceiling. Justin Jefferson, on the other hand, I think he's back to like wide receiver one territory, and that
Oh,
is
for sure.
not like number one overall wide receiver, closer to
Oh,
Jamar Chase.
jeez.
He in general, like he doesn't have bad years, like ever. And now, like Nuke Hopkins got fed with Kyler Murray a couple times. Trey McBride got super fed. Um, I don't think Kyler Murray's a bad quarterback, and I think he's going to like Justin Jefferson is just really, really good, and so he's just going to feed him. Jordan Addison is the one I would see pulling back, where it's like I'm just not the stretching the field is not what Kyler Murray did well, and that's where Jordan Addison thrives is those 60, 80-yard catches.
Well, I would agree with you, except for I keep saying that every single year about Jordan Addison, and he always does pretty good. So no, I mean I agree. I have to be all in on Kyler because I guess that's just where I'm standing.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that before we get logged on here. But yeah, when Justin Jefferson says get a new quarterback, you listen. So I'm really happy about that.
All right, so those are obviously the top two from the moves. Then we have right DJ Moore. I forgot Romeo Dobbs, but I think DJ Moore is just the next clear like tier of receiver capability.
Okay. Hey,
Hmm.
real quick on Romeo Dobbs. How different do you think is his year from what Diggs did?
Statistically, not that different in terms of production week to week. So from a best ball side, I think it is much different because what we saw Diggs last year was like spikes, peaks and valleys. And I think with Dobbs, what they really like about him is that he's just going to be more stable and
Consistent, yeah.
a high volume receiver. I'm curious what they're going to do on the outside besides him. Like Kayshon Boutte, like he had a solid few games, but he's not like a great deep threat. Kyle Williams, I don't know if they're all in on him more now that he's not a rookie. So curious to see. But no, I don't think I think Dobbs is going to have an amazing year. I think he's going to be very similar to what he was for the Packers. And I think there's actually less upside here because there's less receiving talent around him to take the attention away.
Unfortunately, I agree with that. And I also think the Patriots offense is going to take a step back because Drake May was an MVP candidate. And I mean, just a high bar. So
So would you take DJ Moore or Romeo Dobbs?
yes, definitely. I don't think that's even close.
Okay. I agree. Wandale Robinson or Romeo Dobbs. Like that is all. How much
No,
do you buy the
it's
Cam Ward?
Romeo. Yeah, it's Romeo Dobbs, but that's just the offense. We're talking about the Tennessee offense that we like and is rebuilding. But then this other one, once again had an MVP candidate last year. Like, I mean, it's going to
That's
drop
funny
off,
because
but
I say I believe in Brian Dable feeding his former player more than I
no.
believe in the Patriots feeding the guy they're paying. I don't trust any Patriot decision making when it comes to wide receivers. Josh McDaniels has been wrong consistently about wide receivers.
But I just don't think that Wan'Dale Robinson's the best receiver over in Tennessee. I think Calvin Ridley is better than him. And I think that it's just going to spread out. I think it's good for their quarterback. I just don't think that it's good for a fantasy year for him.
I forgot about Calvin Ridley, but I'm just like that. He's like 33. It's getting pretty old.
Is he 33? I
Maybe like
he was
32.
always he was always like, "Oh, he's 28 forever."
No, he was weird because he's 31. Okay, he'll be 32 by the end of the year.
Okay.
He came into the league old. He was 24 when he got drafted. Um, so
He had that funky like 2 years out of the league, but he
yeah,
came back really well from that, surprisingly.
yeah, but no, I just think Wan'Dale Robinson, like when the head coach from a team brings you over to play, I'm just like, yeah, he's gonna feed you. I don't even think Jackson Dart's like that great of a quarterback, and we saw how good
You mean the
Wan'Dale Robinson
offensive
did.
coordinator, not the head coach?
The head coach from the Giants was fired, and he brought over his player. So
Okay. All right. He's an offensive coordinator now. He's not a
he
head
is,
coach, Phil.
he is. But if you twist the words, they sound better. So, and I know we both like Michael Pittman, but I'm kind of very low on his value right now. I
It
don't see
depends.
value to the passing game for the Steelers, and he is collateral damage there, where it's like
Are we
800
assuming Aaron
yards.
Rodgers is back or something?
Pick your quarterback. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, because I think Aaron Rodgers you can win with,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that who else are you talking about? Will Howard
Kirk
with
Cousins.
or with Kirk, and all those guys suck.
Yeah.
So like, and either way, it's like either play slow or just suck. I just don't think it's a good. I think that every single player that we're talking about today makes the teams better, but not necessarily are like great fantasy options. And I think that that's kind of what you see through free agency for wide receivers in general.
So see, it's so funny because I don't know. I disagree. Think, um, right. Ken Walker could be a home run,
I'm talking
right?
about wide receivers. I'm
For
just
wide
talking about
receivers.
receivers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Mike Evans. How did we forget about Mr. Mike Evans? And we talked about him a little bit, but in terms of fantasy, he's ahead of DJ Moore. Whatever we're doing here, I would put him in between DJ Moore and Drake London. So if Moore is 20, London is 10 to 12.
12, I say, yeah.
Yeah. Evans is like 15, 16, 17, something like that.
Sure, man.
You don't buy it? Like the question is,
Yeah, I just didn't think those guys are close enough to even compare. Like, I think we're just talking about different tiers. You're like, yeah, of course.
okay,
I don't know.
I don't know. I see Mike Evans in a very similar role to DJ Moore, and DJ Moore has the better offense for that skill set.
Yeah, but better offense. But like Brock Purdy's not going to get 15 rushing touchdowns. Like Mike Evans is going to get some of those touchdowns that Christian McCaffrey doesn't.
It's actually going to catch the touchdowns, get those red zone targets instead of the goal line set coming in. But that's true. That's the only downside for DJ Moore, where it's like, yeah, once you get to the red zone, you're done.
Yeah. As I'm saying that though, I'm like, hey, you know what? Christian McCaffrey is going to get a lot of those. I mean, like a lot.
Jawan Jennings had the 1 yard touchdowns, man. Pissed me off because
Yeah.
I loved Ricky Pearsall. He got 0 of them. All right. I've taken up way too much of your time and our viewers' time, including our crash. All right. So let us know what your
We talked
fantasy
way long.
thoughts.
I gotta tell you, man, at like about 28 minutes in, I'm like, okay, good, we're wrapping up.
We had to cover
Oh, man.
everything. All right. It's very exciting times. If Connor was here, we would have gone another 2 hours.
Connor would have cared about my Max Crosby stuff. He would have cared.
Way more than me. But it's
Once again, low bar.
it's like if it's headline news on First Take, I don't care about it. How about that?
If I
All right.
watched First Take, I'd know what you're talking about.
You don't know ESPN
All right.
First Take?
I know it. I don't watch it.
Okay, exactly. Neither do I.
All right.
Anyways, you're in charge of hitting the stop button now. So I believe in you after I disconnected.
Oh, wait, I only have a leave button. I don't have a
You
stop
only, you
button.
only, you only have a leave button. It says
I have
it's
a leave.
live. Oh man, I hope this works.
It
All right.
says live.